Since 2012, the U.S. has overtaken Saudi Arabia and Russia as the world's biggest producer of oil and natural gas. The boom in shale rock extraction has redrawn the global oil map. In 2013, the U.S. produced over 12,000 barrels a day, compared to 11,600 barrels in Saudi Arabia and 10,500 barrels in Russia. My next guest says without the oil and gas boom, oil prices would be hitting $150 a barrel. Chris Faulkner is CEO of Breitling Energy. He is on an oil rig in Big Spring, located in the U.S. state of Texas. Chris, thanks so much for being with us today. The oil boom, there's no doubt the U.S. oil boom is helping keep prices low. What is your expectations for prices as we head through the next few months?
Look, I think oil has now reached a good floor in the low 80s. We've got good support at $80 to keep oil around 83, 85. That creates a lot of interest at the pump, though, because consumers now will have a nice piece of savings for their pocketbook going into the holidays. Keep in mind, in July, oil was over $100 a barrel. It's come down almost 25%, and you can see it when you go by the gas stations. A lot of parts of our country now seeing gas prices under $3 a gallon, and I think there's room for it still to slide 10, 15 more cents as we see less driving sometimes during most parts of the winter. I know we've got the holiday bubble coming up where folks will take to the road for Thanksgiving, and they will be able to save money at the pump here, I think, for the next few months.
And I got to tell you, I filled up my cars this weekend, and you do feel that difference in your wallet. That's for sure. A lot of people are excited about the prospect for cheaper energy prices for consumers. There are others arguing, though, that the U.S. should be able to export the oil. There's sort of a big debate going on. Where do you fall in that debate?
There is. Look, I think now if we're going to be in an environment of cheaper oil prices, the United States has got to be able to enter the global energy market. Now, keep in mind, we've actually seen oil glut up already in the refinery areas of our country on the eastern coast and the southern coast there in the Gulf, where refineries say, hey, look, we're already at max capacity. We don't need any more oil. And that was only when we were producing 8.5 million barrels a day. We're producing almost 9 million barrels of oil a day. We need to be able to export this oil to the world energy markets. If we're surpassing Saudi Arabia now in raw crude oil production, we need to enter the global energy markets, but it's not going to happen overnight. We know things in Washington moves kind of slow. We're going to have those conversations soon. Also keep in mind, for the viewers out there, we're going to be exporting natural gas next year, so really why can't we export crude oil from the other states in the United States? Alaska, you're allowed to export crude oil, just not in the lower 48 states. So I think it's going to be happening. It's just going to take some time to have that conversation.
Chris, that has the potential to really complicate the geopolitical sphere. If the U.S. becomes active in the international energy market, it could call into our question with Saudi Arabia. There's already talk about whether the U.S. is deliberately pushing down oil prices as political pressure on Russia. Aren't you concerned about any backlash?
Look, I think it's definitely going to create a geopolitical reworking of a puzzle. I think Saudi Arabia right now is playing chicken with the United States. We're two big locomotives going down the same track, full steam ahead, nobody wanting to hit the brakes. We're wanting to increase our production and surpass them. They're wanting to keep their production at the level they're at today to keep the prices down, hoping that they will slow things down here in the United States. November 27th is the big OPEC meeting where there's going to be basically almost a fist fight of these OPEC member countries like Iran and Iraq and Venezuela wanting to force Saudi to cut production to get the price back up because they need expensive oil over there. $80 oil does not cut it for many of these countries. Their budgets are hinging on $100, $114, $140 oil in the case of Iraq. Look at Russia. They need $114 oil just to break even, and they're nowhere near that. They're in the middle of a war or a skirmish, whatever you want to call it, with the Ukraine. When they went to war with them, they were at $106. They're at $80 today, and they can't make their budget numbers. So Saudi Arabia is running the show in a way, but OPEC is becoming less relevant. They're all fighting together. So we're going to see what this thing does if the United States is not going to cut production. OPEC, either all the countries will have to, or Saudi will have to say enough is enough and cut it down. But do they want to do that? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting on Thanksgiving to watch that meeting.